Hi guys, this will be part 7 of our RetroPie Nintendo 64 project. And in this video I just kind of want to talk about my plans for how I'm going to handle the power supply, because I'm trying to maintain the look and feel of the actual Nintendo 64 itself. And I'm also going to kind of go through my idea for placement of things within the N64. I'm trying to maintain the look and feel of the Nintendo 64 itself. So I pulled the main board out of the 64, and I'm going to put the four controller ports where they would normally go in here. And also I have the two power packs, one for the Nintendo 64 itself and then the one for the Raspberry Pi. So my plan is to take the innards out of the Raspberry Pi cord and put it inside the Nintendo 64's cord. And I also have the port here from the Nintendo 64's motherboard that I'm going to take off. And basically I'm just going to use a heat gun on these pins here, and then I'll pull down while I'm applying the heat, and this port will fall right off. And I'll do the same with the controller ports. I'm not actually going to do that on camera, but that's how that's going to happen. And also, being that the Raspberry Pi is HDMI, I tore apart an old TV that was in the trash, and I'm going to take off the HDMI port from here. That's my plan anyways. And put it on to the 64 where the multi-out port typically is. So there's going to be a lot of cutting and wiring that I'm going to do off camera, but that's my plan for that. Kind of have the same idea going on with the game pack cartridge. I took out the board from the game and cut this hole here, and I'm going to put a USB thumb drive in there, and then I'll take the extension that I have here, just a cheap USB extension, and I'll cut that up, and a USB cord has 4 wires in it. The red and black are for power, and the green and white are for data. I'm pretty sure a USB flash drive does not require power, so I'll just take 2 unused pins here, which none of them are going to be because I'm taking everything off of this board. You can see that circuit board, or integrated circuit still there, that's coming off. But anyways, I'll take 2 unused and run the green and white data wires to the USB thumb drive, and this is where I store all of the games at. And then also, I was going to take 2 pins from the original game port from the 64 itself, and just take 1 pin, and then the corresponding pin I'll wire up to the power wire, so that the Raspberry Pi won't turn on unless the game is actually in the Nintendo 64. Kind of like how an N64 works. I mean, typically it would fire up, but it wouldn't do anything. So, that's how I plan on doing that. I'm also planning on the buttons on the 64 itself to function as they do. I don't have them sitting here, but that's the plan for that. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about was placement of things inside the 64 itself. So this is the front where the controller ports go and the LED thing. So I'm planning on taking the Raspberry Pi and placing it kind of like this way, with the USB ports going that way. Somewhere around here-ish. And I haven't quite decided how I'm going to mount this. I might just use zip ties for now. I don't really want it to be a permanent solution, so that was the best I could come up with for now. And then for the Mayflash N64 USB adapter, I'm going to put that over here in the corner by where the foot for the N64 would go, and just kind of wrap the wire around like this. Let's see if we can get a better view. So it's kind of been held in place a little bit, but I might zip tie that down too. And then I'll probably bring this wire down here and across, like between these pin pegs that stick out. This isn't working. And I'm going to go around this foot here, like this, and then over to the port on the Raspberry Pi. So I'll end up cutting this chunk of wire off of the USB cord, and reattach it so that there's not a bunch of excess wire sitting in the 64 itself. And then I've got, like I said, I've got the game port from the 64, and I will screw this down here like this. There's two holes here. They weren't originally screw holes, but it was very easy to screw a screw into them. So that'll be there, so that when the cover's on, that port will be exactly where it's supposed to be. So the game will slide down in it just how it normally does. And then coming from the power pack, like I said, a USB cord has 4 wires. However, we only need positive and ground. So I'll just take 2 wires off of this. I'll take one to that pin that I was talking about, where the Nintendo 64 will only turn on when the game's in. I'll take one to that pin and then come off of the corresponding pin into the mini USB that's going to go into the Raspberry Pi itself. And then the ground will just go right from the plug to the Pi. So that's kind of my plans for that. I'm not sure if that's what it's going to end up being, or if that's going to work out perfectly or not, but that's where I plan on going with it. As for the power packs, the one from the 64 is the same 4.5mm game bit driver as the console itself, and I've already got these started, so I'll just finish taking these off. And then this just pulls apart like that. And then inside you have this massive board that fills the entire thing, and it doesn't really pull out too easily because there's actually a double-sided sticky tape in here holding this down, so you just kind of force it out, which I've already done, so mine was easy to come out. And then inside here, I don't need any of this because I'm going to use the power pack from the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to cut the 2 main power wires so I can use this cord because I'm trying to maintain the look and feel of an N64. And then I can also just cut this port right off of here, and I'll probably do the same heat gun trick to get this circuit board out of there. And then I can easily solder the 2 pins here for the power that I'm looking for. And then the power cord for the Raspberry Pi is real simple. You just take a flathead screwdriver, just a little one, and kind of jam it in this little slit here. Like that, and then pry it up, and it pops apart. Just like that. And then you can easily cut these 2 wires here, which is what's actually going to go to, where is it? Oh, this, which will actually be what goes to this. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Cut these 2 wires so you can solder those 2 into it, and then just fit it in here and put it all back together.